Alright, hi everybody, it's Bonkai922. Like I said the other night, for some reason my internet's very slow. Not with the going on the internet, not like going to a page, but just uploading videos. And my live streams, like, sometimes it just cuts off. At least to say, forget about it. I'm not worrying about it because my videos are uploading and that's all I really need. Now, Medaka box. Oh, God. Least to say, this was probably the most shocking Medaka box chapter of this arc. No fucking around, this gets a 5 out of 5. Now this one called, chapter 180 was called, just check, Kurokami Final. Now, they get the gist of that. Final gets a Gitensho. Now, I don't want to go too much into details. I just really want to say my thoughts on this. But I will mention a few points that happened in this chapter. Now, from last week's chapter, we gathered that Medaka is going to do this one move called God Mode End God Mode. And it was a final Kurokami Phantom. That's what the gist was of this. Now, the logistics of this move were that, and this is the only thing I want to mention, the only thing I want to mention that actually happened in the chapter, this, and I'll get to the end, which totally blew me away. I was like, what? Pretty much, if I'm understanding this correctly, Kurokami Phantom Final Phantom is, her hair turns all black, and it's like, she looks like Ichigo. I mean, this is so ridiculous, because she looks like Ichigo when he does the final Gitensho. Now, what ended up happening was, the explanation was, it's just like how you have a race car driver or a jet hitting the air, and getting crushed from a wall. And that was the same thing they were talking about with Ihiko and Medaka. But the difference is, this move, what it does is, she's able to she creates a shadow clone, hint Naruto, ahead of her, so that she's able to hit him without getting the initial impact. At least that's what it seemed to me. And there was an explanation also about how, her whole body was an actual heart that was pumping blood. Now, give or take. Now, what ends on happening, and this is the only thing I'm going to mention, this and what happened in the end. Ihiko dodges it. Dodges the initial, move, and just moves out of the way. But what Medaka does is, she goes, and she does a complete U-turn, boom, and hits him in the back. And he's bleeding, and he falls to the floor. Let me just... Oh. And... There we go. And he fell to the floor. Now... Fell to the floor, and he's bleeding. and everything. And seemingly she's won. However, that's not what happened. It seems like she's defeated him. And he says, how flexible of you, such a fresh girl. And the battle is a draw because Medaka's out of strength. She's thin. She doesn't have any strength left. And she falls to the ground. We think, oh, it must be over. Yeah, she won. Well, draw. And then we have Suranui hugging her. And Zenkichi says, oh, she went ahead of me, blah, blah, blah. And Kumagawa saying, oh, let Suranui have this opportunity. And it says, this battle is definitely my win. And then Suranui stabs Medaka? And I'm like, what? I'm ready for the crazy to get out of my head for the moment. But that's not what happened. Apparently, the next final page of this chapter, it says, you see Suranui saying, as I thought, this new body certainly is fresh. And it says despair. Now, everybody's shocked. Zenkichi's shocked. You know, Medaka is throwing up a little bit of blood. The initial hit was around this area, her abdomen, stomach area. It wasn't like in the chest area. So it's not a total life-threatening blow. What I think happened is very simple. Ihiko, his soul, went into Suranui. That's the only explanation I can gather at this time for this situation. Now, this is getting a 5 out of 5. Because this was just like, what the fuck? It was a definite what the fuck moment. Now, as far as I can gather, where we go from here is anybody's guess. But I will gather this. He has possessed Surunui's body. Ihiko. That is the only thing I can gather from this initial, it must have happened when she ran to Medaka, Suranui. That's when he possessed her. Or must have possessed her the moment he fell down. The initial contact. After Medaka hit him in the back, Ihiko fell down and his soul just and went into Suranui. And I don't know if this was the initial achievement he was going for, Ihiko, because I knew he wanted to, it was rather two things. One, he wanted to possess Surunui's body, or two, he wanted Suranui to defeat him. Those are the initial two things I was gathering from this chapter. What happens next week, I have no fucking idea. But I should initially say this. If Ihiko, who has now possessed Surunui's body, walks away, because let's be honest here, it doesn't change the fact that he possessed her body. And it doesn't change the fact of another fact. Zenkichi can't hurt him. Because it's Suranui. It's like one of those things where you don't want to beat her up because that's your friend. Now, I don't think at the same time, I don't think Suranui would go and attack Zenkichi. Because even though Ihiko has possessed of her body, that doesn't mean that, if he attacks Zenkichi, that she's going to try to stop him at the initial. But if Zenkichi gets hurt or dies from this, let's say after the blow to Medaka, she goes to Zenkichi and tries to kill him. we can only gather what happens from there. But this is just a whole big can of worms that's opened up. Now, I have no idea where it's going to go from here. No idea. I can only gather where the fuck they go from here in Medaka Box. But at least say it's going to be fucking huge. What happens after this now? You know, because it's just like, what the fuck? You know? It happened so quick. And I was like, what the fuck? Now, Medaka's dead. After all this, she dies. That's a pretty big middle finger to the fans, to a certain extent. But I don't think she's dead, because it wasn't a lethal blow. It was in this area. I mean, it was severe, and it went through her, but at the same time, it's just her stomach area. It's not really a lethal blow. But coming back from death, you gotta figure it's gonna stop her to a certain extent, Medaka. There's probably gonna be another arc. I have a feeling there's gonna be another arc after this. Or it's gonna conclude from here. But what happens with Ihiko now we have Shirani's body? I have no idea. Like I said, it could be two things. One, he attacks Zenkichi. Or two, he leaves. We have to wait and see. But if he attacks Zenkichi, I think that even with Medaka down on the ground, she might go God War mode again and attempt to stop her. But we will have to see. But like I said, 5 out of 5. This was a what the fuck. This was definitely what the fuck moment for this show, for this manga, for this arc. And like I said, probably one of the best chapters of the arc. Probably. But I'd like to hear what you guys think. Comments below, you know the story. Like I said, I have no idea what's going to happen. It could be one of those two things. Ihiko, who has now possessed Shirani's body, goes and attacks Zenkichi. Or he leaves. She leaves. We have to wait and see. But tell me what you guys think. Comments below. This has been Bankai 922. Ihiko. This guy is like... How do you fucking kill him? It's like, you can't kill this guy. Jesus. So yeah. This has been Bankai 922. I will see you guys later.